Hello and welcome back to another inky drawing today with me, Kieron Seamons. Don't forget that this channel runs on support by you. If you comment, it's support. If you donate, it's support. If you go and buy prints and books, it's support. So I encourage you to support the channel. Today's drawing will be dedicated to Juliana in Indonesia. I hope I said your name right. Had to think there for a minute. But all the way in Indonesia. So this channel is getting all over the world. And it's an absolute delight to know that. So here we go with today's drawing. This way. Okay, so let's get started with today's drawing. As usual, if you've never been here before, the drawing just appears on the paper. There is no pre-plan, there is no pre-drawing, there is nothing there to kind of guide me. It's all done with whatever I feel at the time and whatever happens in the ink, which is always very exciting for me. I do love that process. I do love the way that it just kind of appears. So let's start today. Today's drawing is for Juliana. As I said, she is in Indonesia, which is always a fantastic feeling for me to think that there are people in Indonesia or Australia or Japan or wherever that are so far away from England and they are watching the channel, and I'm just so pleased. So let's start the speedy drawing, because I know you guys like the speedy ones. Right, let's get started. Let's get something with my little lucky brush and all right. Okay. All right. Okay. We got something nice going on there. I quite like that big little black kind of lump at the top. Very nice, very nice. And it's kind of giving me that kind of feeling of it's almost like a kind of a fishy shape, isn't it, with that? And that little grunting noise behind me is my lovely little dog, Mr. Miro, my absolute angel. An angel in every way. I mean, we go for a daily walk, as you might see on my channel. We do go for a daily walk, and it's just an incredible thing. I love the way that when you have a dog, you kind of look at the whole world slightly different, and that's just. I guess it's like having children. When you go out with children, I used to go out with my children all the time, and they would always come up with some amazing thing that you never saw, you didn't notice, and I love that. And that's pretty much the same with Mr. Miro. He's very much my eyes and ears for what's new. For example, the other day when we were walking, he got all very, very growly and very kind of nervous. And they had put up a new park bench. But for him at a distance, he could see this something. And this something made him nervous. I'm using that little blob there because I just feel like it's part of the drawing. Now, I don't know too much about Juliana in Indonesia, but she did message me, and we did kind of talk mostly about food, because I remember being in the Far East, and I loved their dedication to taste, to the flavor of the food, which is quite stunning when you come from this end of the planet, where food is something that's kind of like thrown on a plate almost. Well, these days, I mean, obviously the older foods would have been quite well thought out and planned also, but it's something else when you go to the Far East, you know. And I haven't been to Japan yet, but I'm definitely going to get there at one point in my life. So I thought, since we were discussing, it makes myself laugh thinking this, but we were talking about fish. One of the dishes that we were talking about was this almost like a national dish, and it's a savoury fish. It's kind of like a yellow gravy that's on it. It looks absolutely stunning. So oh, I am a silly person. I do make myself laugh. So I thought I would. This is the obviously with the expression. This is the fish who's waiting in the tank for somebody to order him, because he looks kind of worried, doesn't he? Let's get his little fin coming up to look even more worried. I do love my inky drawing mornings. I do. It really is the center of my life. I absolutely love it, and I must get back to doing more of the smaller ones, the kind of ACO size things, because people are very, very, very into them. I'm less into it. I must admit. I don't feel like I can. It's big enough to kind of get into it. A4 is like the smallest I can kind of deal with. But as you know from my drawings before, some of them are up on the kind of A1 and A2 type of side of things, and I much prefer that bigger challenge, as it were, you know. So I think I didn't mean to draw a fish, but now I'm with all the fish and the dinner and everything in my mind. I guess it's just kind of poured out of me. And I hope Juliana sees this today. Hope it gives her a little chuckle in her day, a little laugh in her day. Let's get some bubbles coming out. Yeah, so I have been drawing lots of different formats at the moment, really trying to get people to see the channel from different angles. You know, sometimes it's very difficult to kind of show yourself or get seen. It's very, very difficult. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, you know, and I do find it's quite exhausting sometimes that you're kind of constantly trying to kind of get seen. It's something I never ever thought with the arts. I never thought it would get to a stage where you're kind of constantly promoting yourself. But I guess that's what it is in this modern world, you know. When I started in animation and illustration and stuff like that, there wasn't this kind of TV channel for you to explore or to promote yourself. It was kind of like going there and banging on doors, which, you know, can be just as positive or negative as you take it. Obviously, when you go in and banging on doors, in the early days, it was quite easy to kind of find work. As the kind of digital world kind of took over, things became more difficult. Became more that everything was by interview and by you know, going in and selling yourself, you know, and that's kind of what the internet has kind of brought to the arts. It's like everybody's out there to sell themselves. Everybody's out there to show. It's quite amazing. Mr. Muir going a little bit mad there. If I don't pay attention, he gets a little bit kind of like stroking the ground and So let's put a few more bubbles in there. In fact, I've just done yesterday. I did the talk about King Rara, because King Rara is actually becoming very, very popular. And that's an old cartoon now. It's like 15 years old or something. But the beauty of it, and as always with this type of thing, the absolute magic of it is that cartoons are alive forever. You know, I love that. I love the idea of this medium. These videos might be around forever. Who knows? And I find it's quite enlightening, really. It's the fact that there is this kind of like live forever feeling with the art. You know, in the same way that you go to the galleries and you see paintings from, you know, the 1500s or something. And I love the galleries. I love going to see paintings and such. Maybe in the National Gallery you'll see the fish that I did for Juliana. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be incredible? You know, I'm not really sure if kind of the kind of cartoon side of things gets so much show, much kind of promotion. I think it's quite quiet. I do remember starting out falling in love with what Gerald Scarfe was doing at the time. It was kind of like it was just so fresh and so amazing, so exciting, seeing all these illustrations, these ink drawings that were so powerful. And I remember going through all the newspapers. Once I'd found out who this guy was, I think I told you before that there was a picture of Richard Nixon as a dying elephant. And it just blew my mind. It just was like being hit with 10,000 volts of electricity. And I remember cutting it out of my dad's newspaper and then finding out that these kind of drawings appeared weekly, and going and searching through thousands of newspapers in this old shed. My dad would put them all out in the shed, and that kind of was my beginning of love for illustrations, and my first kind of introduction, if you wish, into ink drawing and the power of it. And that would have definitely have been Gerald Scarfe. And leading on to the first kind of movie being the Pink Floyd The Wall. Obviously, the sad thing about the Pink Floyd The Wall is that everybody kind of knows Another Brick in the Wall, the big kind of hit that they had. But the album, I think it's a double album. I mean, it's just powerful. The words in it and the music in it, and David Gilmour's guitar is powerful. If you've never heard it, didn't mean to do that so thick. If you haven't heard the album, go put it on, or put it on whatever the Spotify or whatever there is these days, and go and just turn the lights off and just sit there and turn this thing on, put the whole double album, and you will be absolutely blown away. A combination of music and art there, which is quite rare these days to kind of see something like that. But anyway, me rambling on. That is Juliana's lovely fish. He is looking slightly nervous, but I'm sure he's a happy fish. I'm sure nobody wants to eat him today. I'm sure he'll be very lucky and have a beautiful day. I am actually quite full of energy at the moment, and I'm going to go on and do another drawing. So stick with me and come back and see another drawing with me, okay? If you haven't subscribed, please do. It does show me that there is people out there, and I love that. I love to know that you're there watching what is happening on paper. So thank you very much. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you again very soon. Have a beautiful day.